10 candidates will be taking the debate stage in Cleveland at 9 p.m. Of course, to this point, Donald Trump has commanded much of the media's attention. I talked earlier today with ABC's Cokie Roberts about what she thinks the candidates need to do tonight, starting with Trump.
It's all about how he behaves and how people respond.
All right, so, but besides how he behaves, I have to think that the other Republican candidates have got to look at tonight as their chance to get their name out there, right? What do you expect them to do to change the dialogue from Donald Trump to them?
Well, I suspect that they're not going to do anything crazy. That would surprise me. It would be fun, but it would be surprising. But I think that they're more likely to have a single message that they want to get out and to say it repeatedly, which becomes tedious in its own way and sometimes ludicrous. But I think that that's their most likely tack to take, is to say that, you know, I need to say this thing that the voters will hear and the donors will hear and get behind.
Trump has never debated before. Do you think that will hurt him tonight?
It would be interesting to see how he deals with it. If he is all sober-sided and tries to really answer questions on the issues, that could work one of two ways. It could either show people that he does have a serious side and should be taken seriously, or it could disappoint his true followers who just love the fact that he gets out there and says whatever he wants to say and says it as he calls it. That's his big strength, and if he backs away from that, that could be a problem for him.
But people also are looking, don't you think, in debates like this for someone who has a real command of the issues, Cokie?
Well, yes and no. It's very hard to show a command of the issues when you are one of 10 and you don't have very much time. You know, in a one-on-one debate, you can do that much more easily. Certainly, all of them are trying to make sure they do have command of the issues, but it's not an easy thing to do. I think it's more likely that that Marco Rubio will keep telling us that he's the new generation, for instance. That kind of thing is more likely.
And let's talk about Ben Carson, born and raised here in Detroit, U of M Medical School. What do you expect to hear from him tonight?
I'm very interested to hear from Ben Carson. You know, he is always right up there in the polls. He's always somewhere in the either top or middle of the pack of the top 10. And most people don't know anything about him, and I think this is really his opportunity to present himself tonight. He could be the real winner coming out of this.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So what will the candidates tonight have to do to step ahead of the competition? Of course, there are 17 candidates, but only 10 of them were selected for this first main debate. The other 7 will be in kind of a secondary debate. So it'll be interesting to see how they all behave, as Cokie just pointed out.
Yeah, so what is the strategy here to come out the winner? Joining us now is Kelly Young. He's an associate professor of communication and director of forensics program at Wayne State University. Kelly, so good to have you with us. You are familiar with debates, very familiar, we know. What will the candidates need to do overall, do you think, to win the public tonight?
Well, you know, this is a very interesting debate because oftentimes, you know, we think of debates as not having a large effect, but research from 2013 from the University of Missouri tells us that almost 60% of voters' opinions change in primary debates compared to the general election. And so, you know, given the format, they have 1 minute to answer. And then if somebody mentions their name, they'll have a 30-second rebuttal to respond. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of on-point attacks on the candidates because you don't want to turn the spotlight onto those candidates. You know, so I think a lot of what you're going to see tonight is sort of a battle of sound bites, and I think that appearance is going to matter a great deal, like who looks like they are going to be presidential. I think for somebody like Jeb Bush, for instance, that they have a lot to overcome from Monday night when they had a very poor performance and just didn't come off very presidential.
Now, obviously, with just a very, very short time for each candidate to make their point, as you said, they're going to be looking for sound bites. People love kind of that argumentative, in-your-face thing that's going on, and Donald Trump may win just on that alone. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, he has said going into the debate that he's going to play nice with the other candidates, and he's actually in a position where he can afford to do such a thing. You know, he doesn't really have to have that outstanding of a performance, And he's lowered expectations by saying he's not preparing for the debate, which fits perfect his personality of being the outsider and not the career politician. But, you know, I think I'm curious to see if he'll hold to that, because I'm not sure Trump, as you see when he's on his own TV show, I'm not sure what Trump means by play nice is probably very different than the rest of us know. So yeah, I think you're going to see some, you know, fine Trump performance.
I think so, and I think we all look forward to seeing what we hear tonight. Let's talk a little bit. Cokie Roberts said there that she thought Ben Carson could actually come out the winner tonight. People don't know a lot about him. What do you think about what she said there, and what will he have to do to make that a reality?
Yeah, you know, I thought he had an interesting performance Monday night in the candidate forum. You know, he probably had the most articulate explanation of an alternative to the Affordable Care Act should it be repealed, but he's rather subdued. And I don't think that helps him when you're in a crowd of 10, and that Carson's position is not that different from a lot of the other candidates. So, you know, I think charisma and charm and that presence is going to have to be there for Carson to really shine. And I think, unfortunately for him, the candidate that has the most experience with debate and might shine brighter tonight is Mike Huckabee, who's the only candidate that has prior presidential debate experience and is rather used to these kind of forums.
All right, Kelly Young, we do thank you for your expertise, and thanks for joining us. We'll all see tonight, but I'm sure, as you point out, it will be entertaining at times.
No matter what. Thank you.